The moment I heard Brenda's smug voice through the phone, I knew the game was on. "I sold your house to teach you a lesson about respect," she sneered. "The new owners move in next week." My grip on the receiver didn't waver. Instead, I smiled, recalling the secret meeting with my late father's lawyer. "Good luck with that," I replied coolly. She had no idea what was coming. Before I dive into this twisted tale of betrayal, revenge, and ultimate justice, let me take you back to where it all began. The house at the center of this storm wasn't just any property. It was a stunning Victorian in Boston's historic Beacon Hill neighborhood. Red brick, black shutters, ornate moldings dating back to 1887. My grandparents bought it for what now seems like spare change, passing it to my father, their only child. Every memory of my childhood was wrapped in that house. My father, an architect, adored it as though it were a living thing. While other kids watched cartoons on Sundays, I followed him through the rooms, learning the language of architecture, running my hands across hand-carved balusters, heart pine floors, and intricate plasterwork on the ceilings. "This is craftsmanship, Madison," he'd say. "They don't make homes like this anymore." My mother, Elizabeth, loved it just as fiercely. An interior designer, she transformed every space with a perfect blend of modern comfort and historic charm. That house was their masterpiece, our family's heart. Then cancer stole her, and everything changed. Dad buried himself in work, drifting further away. And into that empty space came Brenda. Flashy, loud, tasteless. The complete opposite of my mother. But she made Dad laugh again, so I bit my tongue. Until she started talking about updates. About tearing out the soul of that house, piece by piece, under the guise of modernization. When they married after just 8 months, I told myself I could endure it until college. But she moved swiftly, erasing every sign of my mother as if she'd never existed. By the time I left for UCLA, Dad barely resembled himself, and calls became strained, mechanical. But then, out of nowhere during my senior year, he showed up in California. "Brenda thinks I'm at a conference," he admitted as we walked the Santa Monica Pier. "I needed to see you." Without interference. That night, he told me how proud he was, how he admired my eye for preservation, for honoring beauty others overlooked. Then he hugged me tighter than ever before. "I've made mistakes, Madison," he murmured. "But I've always done what I could to protect you." 6 weeks later came the diagnosis. When I got the call from Aunt Carol that Brenda had hidden his illness for months, I got on the next flight. My father was fading, a shadow of the man who once carried me on his shoulders. And Brenda, she greeted me at the door with rehearsed warmth, playing the grieving wife long before the grave was even dug. During those final weeks, she tried everything to keep us apart. Canceling nurse visits, losing the special foods I prepared. But she couldn't stop every moment. In those stolen minutes, Dad whispered his cryptic warnings. "Meet Harrison after I'm gone. No matter what the will says." Then the night before he passed, his voice hoarse, he gripped my hand. "Forgive me for the lost years," he rasped. "But remember, I've done everything to protect you." Brenda's performance at the funeral deserved an Oscar. Fake sobs, the shaky hands. But her true self slipped out at the reading of the will. "To my wife, Brenda Campbell Reynolds, I leave the entirety of my estate, including all real property. Everything." The smirk on her face told me she thought she'd won. But then Harrison handed me the letter. "What you heard today is not the full story," my father's handwriting read. "Meet Harrison tomorrow. Things aren't always what they seem." The next morning, over black coffee in a quiet cafe, Harrison revealed my father's real legacy. 3 years before meeting Brenda, Dad had quietly placed the house into an irrevocable trust. Sole beneficiary, me. The will Brenda gloated over. It only covered assets still in his name at death. The house wasn't one of them. So while she strutted into closing, ready to sell my family's legacy, I walked in and watched the color drain from her face. "I believe you're trying to sell my house," I said softly, holding the trust deed in my hand. It would have been satisfying enough to stop there, but I didn't. What followed was a brutal court battle. Brenda wasn't going down quietly. She hired lawyers, lied under oath, tried forging documents. But every thread she pulled only tangled her further in her web of greed and deceit. With Aunt Carol by my side and Harrison's meticulous legal strategy, we dismantled every false claim she made. Piece by piece, like undoing a badly sewn garment, we exposed her fraud. In the end, not only did I keep the house, I won damages. Enough to ensure Brenda would never profit from a single brick of my family's home. Standing in that Victorian now, sunlight filtering through the stained glass windows my parents restored, I can feel them with me. Their voices in every creak of the floorboards. Their love in every carved banister and worn tile. This wasn't just a victory over a woman's greed. It was a restoration of legacy, of love, of everything that was ever meant to be mine.